Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel, and today in this video we are going to look at one cool little feature on Laravel, which is the defer functions. Now, how does the defer function work and what are the situations where we should use defer function is something we will look into this video. So let's get started and understand how the defer function works. If I go to the Laravel's documentation, you will see here is the syntax where inside defer function we are passing a closure, and that closure is going to be executed when the defer function takes its I would say it plays its role. Now first let's understand how this works, okay, and then I will explain you the internals. Fair enough. So I have this application where I will create a temporary URL. So let's just say by the way, I'm using this code editor called Cursor, and I am so far very impressed with the capabilities that it has. I'm working on this project, which is a Laravel 11, Inertia v2 and Vue 3. Okay, and Inertia v2 is quite new, but the kind of answers that Cursor is able to give me, which is very focused or which works with Inertia v2, I'm really impressed. And it creates a lot of things. For example, very useful commit messages apart from the basic code completion, right? So it's next level, and I would say as a developer you should try it out, and it should help you a lot with your productivity. Okay, by the way, this is no sponsored video by Cursor, and they haven't approached me at all. This is something which I have been exploring on my own, and I really felt that it is useful, and I'm sharing that with you. Okay, so let's get back to the business. We are looking at the defer function. So let's say we have a defer function like this. Okay, I think I almost got the code. I by mistake did a yes, right. So what are we saying? Actually, I think it remembered my previous example, which is a bit strange, but let's try and understand what is happening. Okay, so I have a defer callback. This callback function sleeps for 5 seconds, and then it logs that I completed my 5-second sleep. And this is a return which says ask to sleep for 5 seconds. Okay, so what should we expect? Well, let's say I don't use the defer function first. Okay, the callback is empty and I have something like this. Just do it over here. The log file is empty, which is good. Now in here I will do temp 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so I got my response after 5 seconds, and it should have logged that I completed my 5-second sleeps. So this is how typically your PHP code will execute, which is fine. But now if I just get rid of these two lines, uncomment these, I'll go back to this page so that you see the loading. Okay, so over here I will now do temp, and can you see immediately I got the response. Okay, and now if I go to my log file, you will see I got the sleep log entry as well. So which means I got my response pretty quickly, and it did execute whatever was there inside the log, inside the closure. So let's try and do it once more. Okay, I'll just keep it like this and go back to this page and do temp. So I got the response immediately, and after 5 seconds I saw the log, right? So this is the advantage of having defer functions Now, basically this means that if there is anything which I feel has a delay, I can run it inside the defer function and I can give the response back to the user pretty quickly. Okay, there are few things which we should be aware of. For example, I will tell you, by default, defer functions will only be executed if the HTTP response, artisan command, or queued job is which was invoked, or which invoked the defer function, completes successfully. Okay, so this is important, that if you have some route where there can be an exception or there can be a situation, for example, there's a authorization issue or an authentication issue, right? And if you have a defer function, then typically it will not get executed. Why? Because the defer function expects that the HTTP response ends with a success, which is in the range of 200 series. But if you feel that there are certain things which should be executed and it doesn't matter whether the response is a success or failure, you can use the always method. You just run the always method on the defer function and you should be fine. Okay, so now the question is, how is this magic happening? Because in Laravel we had queues through which we could have achieved this, but honestly, setting up a queue, running it up on a simple application, I always felt that we are I would say complicating the infrastructure, right? Because now I need a queue worker in terms of drivers. If I want to be fast, or I would say I want to do it in a proper way, I will need a Redis service, or I'll have to rely on something like a database service because I can't use Sync. So yes, overall the infrastructure was getting complicated. But with defer functions, these background tasks, these small simple stuff, you can offload it from the main request. Okay, that's the beauty. And how does this work? If you are interested to know, so basically I will link this blog post by Amit Merchant. I read a few articles, and I would say if you are interested in how the internals work, you will see he has pretty well explained how the internal works. There is a collection where all the callbacks are kind of collected, and then there is the middleware which does the execution. But the most important thing for us to understand, if you don't want to go into the internals, is the fact that when PHP is running on fast CGI, there are pools of processes. Okay, and if it is not running on fast CGI, the request ends or the request terminates and the process ends. But with fast CGI, the process is open. Okay, and because the process is open, now PHP can tap into the fact that the process continues to live, and hence after sending the response using the same process, we are able to execute certain things. Okay, but there is a caveat. Do remember that the defer function is not a clear-cut replacement of your queues. So which basically means if it's a really long-running process, so for example, if you want to read a big CSV file, or if you want to write a long CSV file, don't do it with the defer function, because in the end it's keeping a process alive, and this is specifically where queues come into picture. Small stuff, definitely. Okay, so one example which I can give you, I always believe practical examples are better in terms of understanding. So rather, I will give you two examples. One is I can't show you right now, but in one of our applications in my company, we are using Sentry. And what happens is, the way Sentry collects this information is, before sending the request, it would get all the information and send it to Sentry. So an API call is made. Now there is a slight latency because the server will connect to Sentry, send the data, and then we will send the response back to user. But in here, using fast CGI, we are able to defer the call, or get it out of the main request process and send the data to Sentry through a separate process, right? And that's where we got some performance benefit. And if for some reason, again in the same application, we had some auditing requirements, which basically meant that all the users who are going through any of the page, we need to keep a track in terms of analytics. Okay, and so initially we were doing, we have a middleware which would be added to all the URLs where we want to track the analytics, but then it was taking some bit of time because it's an insert, and the insert is on a heavy table. The table is growing every day, and this defer ensured that we are able to do this quick return of response and sideline the insert to the database as a separate thing. So that's about it, guys. I really like the concept, and yes, there are quite a few things which we can do using defer in our application to get a performance benefit, for a better and fast user experience. And yeah, that's what I wanted to cover. I'm pretty excited about it. Tell me what you feel about this, and if you have used it, do share your experience in the comment below. And yeah, if you like this video, then do click on the thumbs up icon. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well.